Hey everyone, and welcome to After the Weekend. I am JT Gun. We've got R2theICKY.
Yo.
And in our wonderful, well, I guess he's not a guest anymore. He just kind of stuck around. Is Beard of Liberty.
I'm like a barnacle. I just kind of appear, and you don't really know how I got there, and you just leave it.
Well, I'm super. I always have fun with you on the show, so I'm glad you were able to review this show with us and much more. So I'm glad you're kind of like, well, you're part of the team, so that's cool. You would say it's part of the team, right, R2?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what you do. Is you put him on blast right in front of everybody, so he has to give the right answer.
I was just gonna say you're the W in ATW.
I'll take it.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. You can actually make your beard out of a W.
Well, yeah, I probably could.
Not gonna lie. Do you guys remember that Skittles commercial with the guy with the giant beard who would grab the Skittles and eat it? I keep waiting for Beard to do that.
Start snaking up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You could get like that wax to do that, right?
That stuff's a mess.
Oh, we got Nemo wax.
What did you just say?
Oh, that's from 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, we're here back again to review a show that I'm super excited to keep watching on a weekly basis and review with you both. And it's 11/22/63, and we are on what episode, Rick? What are we watching? What are we reviewing this time?
We're doing episode 5 and 6.
5 and 6. And Beard, you have a cool recap for us, right? You always.
Oh, you didn't tell me it had to be cool.
Oh, well, it has to be cool now.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll let the audience decide. All right.
What happened last time on episodes 3 and 4? Kind of a quickie.
All right. Try to hit the main points without giving away too many spoilers. So first, we see Jake settle into his job as a teacher. And then we kind of jump ahead a few years later where he is actually reintroduced to Sadie, who he met not long after first arriving in 1960. Jake and Sadie kind of get, shoehorned into chaperoning a dance together. And it's very clear they begin to hit it off. But when everything's going well, Jake just bugs out and leaves her alone because he's got to get back to help Bill bug Oswald's house. But Time isn't happy about that. But if we jump ahead to the next episode where Ms. Mimi, of all people, stumbles onto Jake's identity being fake and brings it to his attention, where he kind of has to come up with a story on why he's there and doesn't have the records that she needs.
Yeah, he's what is it? He's under
witness protection.
Witness protection because of the mafia, and she had no idea what he was talking about.
I won't give away his story, but I like his explanation. Then Jake and Sadie end up spending a night in a bungalow, actually at the suggestion of Deke, to maintain some discretion. But Jake is surprised to find photos of them the next morning slid under the door, which he takes to be the CIA trying to intimidate him. Then Bill and Jake track Oswald to a brothel where they get swept up in a police raid, and Deke has to bail them out and then drives Jake straight to school, doing the most shamest walk of shame into the building.
I thought that was funny.
And later on, Jake comes face to face with Sadie's ex. I think his name is Johnny. And Bill gets closer to Marina, Oswald's wife.
Right. All right. It seems to be a pretty high fun show. Like there's a lot of going on, but it seems you can keep up. Like you can you're not like going to get lost, I think.
I feel like last time we talked, we forgot one kind of key thing with Ms. Mimi when she shows up at Jake's, how she looks sick. She's real sickly, and I feel like we find out more about that coming up here soon.
We do. You are absolutely right. So again, we're doing episode 5 and 6. Rick kind of gave us a sneak peek last week's episode, where it does, You know, you're right, Beard. What's her? Sadie kind of finds out that Jake is not who he says he is. He's acting weird with Russian tapes in the basement, and she's not sure what's going on. She runs away. You think it's all over for them, and then what they do in this next episode, so 5, and it's called The Truth. And this is, to me, was one of the most disturbing episodes of the whole series. This is when, and Rick, you kind of highlighted this, but how did we get to the scene that you see here highlighted where you have Sadie's ex-husband and Jake at a table with a bloody Sadie? How did we get here?
My mind is drawn to blank now.
Oh,
no. He like kidnaps her, and
between sometime when they broke up,
yeah,
and she left the house, he kidnapped her,
and he tortures her until Jake arrives, and it's I was gonna say TR Knight does such a good job though in this.
Really does.
Yeah, he's creepy. He's borderline,
but
psycho.
Sadistic too.
Yeah.
In all of this.
Some of the things he says is pretty like, whoa, like he's like, I'm gonna bite your nose off or something, like, you know, he says some awful things. But yeah, he's basically upset that Jake and Sadie have fallen in love or ended up together. So he does torture her. He does try to take out Jake as well.
I feel like what adds to it too is just his appearance, right? He's kind of a small guy, and he's just right. He's dressed real nice, and you know, it's not like what you'd expect. You know,
you'd expect him to be trying to sell you insurance.
Yeah, or bleach.
Yeah. So he's selling. He said he has water in the cup there, but and I think it's bleach, right? That's what's in there.
Yeah, he pours a jug of bleach into like a pitcher for juice, and then pours a glass.
And he's like, he wants Jake to drink it, basically,
and he'll spare Sadie, or if he doesn't, he'll kill Sadie.
Right, and this is the majority of the episode. This scene here, this back and forth. You do see some other clips of Billy, because basically this was the day that Lee Harvey was supposed to shoot
General Walker.
General Walker, and if that was a key moment that Al talked about, right, Beard? This is like the moment where it all made sense.
And specifically, their plan for this day was Jake was going to follow Lee, and Bill was going to follow the Russian guy. What's his name? He's the Russian guy. George. Yeah, I can't say his last name, so he's George, the Russian guy to me. Mostly because Jake wants to keep Bill away from Lee because he knows that there's tension building because Bill wants to defend Lee's wife. But right before, because Jake gets a phone call from Johnny, and right before he leaves his house, he calls Bill and says, "I can't do it. You're on your own," and basically gives him no explanation, and then just runs to Sadie's place.
Do you think that this is time calling him? Is his time doing this event?
I don't know if time as an entity would have had to, because he's begun meddling so in little bits in so many different people's lives. He's going to just have natural consequences come of it. And if you get between the psychopathic person and the person they're obsessed with, you kind of might expect something like this to go down. So this could just be something that's happening naturally as a consequence of his actions, and not because the flow of time as a sort of own entity is trying to get things on the right track.
Well, I feel more like what happened to Bill was more time meddling than really what was going on.
So what happened? So what happens to Bill? So he goes over to check out the supposed assassination.
I mean, he's all ready to scope out and be on the lookout for Oswald. And then they even kind of mentioned that where General Walker is, across the street is a church, and services are letting out, and he hears doesn't he hear the bell, I want to
Yep.
say, or does he hear the people? He hears the bell, and it kind of distracts him, and then he sees a girl who looks like his deceased sister.
And he's very upset about that because he supposedly Frank from episode 2 murdered his sister, and he's always been upset about losing his sister. And
But we end up finding out that they never found her body. That's why he
Right.
still is holding on to this hope that she might be out there.
Correct. Yeah. So he's in that picture there with Bill kind of looking shocked. He thought that was his sister, so he chases after her, ends up not being here, and so you think that's time messing with Bill?
Yeah, just because that moment was kind of one of the key moments that they had been planning for so long.
Correct. Yep.
And it was
no one knows who went after Walker, then they would have figured that out. And
well, that was kind of like their smoking gun. They felt like.
Yep.
They see.
Al said it. Yeah.
Yeah, they see Oswald there. Then it's proof.
Right.
Oswald did it.
And now we're at the moment where Al has never been this far. Al only made it to November 3rd. Right? Was it November 3rd or October 3rd? He
don't recall.
Yeah,
okay,
I don't recall.
He never got to this point to where he saw Walker or tried to see Walker get shot. He never saw this.
It was October, but it was a little later in October, just because of when he left. But yeah, I mean, he made it to October, but not November.
Yeah, so he never even got a chance to try to see what Bill was attempting to do. So they're in a no man's land, I would say. That Al had no idea what was going to. He had no notes on. And meanwhile,
I was going to say that real quick. It's not a huge part of the episode, so we kind of did skip over it at the beginning. That picture in the top right, they kind of scope out Walker's place and they have conversation back and forth, which kind of hits on some of the conspiracy theory topics of why would they want a shooter who can't hit a stationary target? Why would they want a guy who's trying to kill Walker when Walker's not a fan of JFK, and kind of back and forth. And then you kind of see from that the obsession coming from Jake, because he's not caring about these questions. Mm-hmm. He's fully committed now, and he's can't see the forest for the trees sort of thing.
Correct. Yeah. It's because you never know if he actually we don't know who actually shot Walker either, and so and they're going through all the minds of you would, as a conspiracy theory, like you said, like why would they pick someone that isn't very good? So,
which I do got to say, even large bullets, you don't always know what they're going to do when they go through glass.
True.
Well, I kind of don't want to say it too, because I mean, I don't know what else happens in the series, but there's a lot of interesting ballistics with the gun and round that was used for JFK.
Yeah,
that Oswald has.
If people want to hear more on that, they'll have to tune in to the end where we do the JFK movie and talk conspiracy theories.
Yeah. If you are interested, we're planning on doing the JFK movie, but you can also comment below if you're watching along and letting us know during why this is premiering, or you watch after the fact. So that would be cool. This episode was like I was on the edge of my seat, because you're like, I mean, I kind of knew what happened because I've seen it before, but if I was you, Rick, and you didn't know what was going to happen, this was probably really shocking for you, this entire episode with Sadie.
I mean, well, I think the thing that was just most shocking is just how much Johnny had messed up Sadie. I mean, like, he put just a big old gash on the side of her face. I mean, you can see all the blood right there, and
yeah.
But I mean, like, you got to go, like, losing that amount of blood right there, like, just how weak she had to have been during all this. And at the same time, it kind of went the way that I kind of was expecting, with the fight. But
Yeah, yeah. And what is he? I guess we could spoil it if you want to, but we don't.
Well, we've already
Let's
spoiled
just say
things in the last episode.
we'll-
Spoilers.
I mean, we can go into it because I mean, we could just say
Well,
that
basically,
Jake gets out of there.
He does get out of there. He does not drink the bleach water, and he does escape very well. But there's a key. There's a thing in the beginning of this episode where they go back to when he's teaching in 2000, and he does ask the question, "What would you do if you had a time machine?" And then some nerdy kid asks him what kind of time machine. He tells him, "Shut up." But he goes, "What would you change? What would you do?" And the first thing out of anyone's mouth was, "I would go back in time and kill the most notorious people in history." Right?
A famous Austrian painter.
Yeah, and some other folks. And he's like, "Oh, great, you're doing a lot of killing." And he's like, he at that moment when he's saying that, he doesn't really like that, even though he's done that over. And when he's done that twice.
But at that moment in his life, had he done that?
Don't think so.
I was gonna say, I mean, like in my mind, right? It was like him recalling that moment, and almost like the irony of the situation, right?
Right, like he wouldn't do that then, but knowing now that he's in this situation, he had to do some certain things. So,
well, it's kind of a great comparison of academic theory versus real world practicality.
Right. Yeah. Look at you, big words. Wow.
I have word a day toilet paper. I spend a lot of time reading.
Do you play Wordle a lot still? Do you play that?
Actually, yes, I do. Most days.
All right. What do you say, R2?
I said while on the toilet.
Of course.
He probably watched it. He probably used to watch us on the toilet. And now he's very mad because this was his toilet time.
Well, no, because you can't at somebody's name very easily in the mobile app. So I make sure to get my business done before.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe I'm in there right now and this is a green screen. Who knows?
Ew. I'm gonna play a clip of our guest that was on our last week.
Oh no.
So we get right into episode 6. Happy birthday, Lee Harvey Oswald. And it is his birthday. He does have a party. And we find out someone is at the birthday party.
He's going to shoot his eye out.
It's Billy. Billy has started to hang out with Lee. But why?
He's become both Lee's best friend while secretly cheating with his wife.
Exactly. And he tells
he's like, yo, baby's having my baby.
Yeah, and Jake finds this out because he goes to the birthday party. He's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "Well, Lee's nicer to me. He doesn't boss me around. He tells me things. He shares things with me." And and he's reading Karl Marx that Lee gave him. And it changes his whole mentality. He's starting to kind of forget the mission, and he's just kind of focused on being himself, I guess, with Lee and doing his wife. So,
well, I mean, it's kind of clear, right? They went from being in this together where he feels he's isolated, and if I almost go, if Jake hadn't gotten the life that he did, right? And like with getting so engrossed with being a school teacher, right? This probably wouldn't have happened.
No, I think Billy got the brunt of the work. He was doing a lot of the grunt work of what Jake should have done.
Yeah.
So basically, it also in the beginning of this episode, we find out Sadie, because it jumps in time a little bit. He's still friends with Deke. He's not working at the school. They find out that the craziness that happened at the house, that they're dealing with that with the law enforcement and they're just doing however they were wanting to do with that back then. Like I think he's trying to do self-defense or something. and he didn't go to jail for what he did.
Yeah.
Nothing. Well,
Well, he almost gets saved by Deke too. Like Deke
Yeah.
comes strolling along, like, you know, I forget the deputy's name, but he was like, I remember you on the football team, had a hell of an arm on you.
yeah, and I think Deke knows more about Johnny than most people. I think he knew that he was kind of odd.
Well, even if not that, what I got from it, and I guess we didn't touch on it because this is like tail end of the last episode stuff, is that in that episode, Deke fires Jake because he has a morality clause. But then at the end, he kind of steps up, still like recognizing, like, I can't employ you because of what you've done, but I understand what you've done here tonight. And he kind of sees Jake's true intentions and steps up to kind of defend him and let him go to the hospital so he can find out what's going on with Sadie instead of being interrogated.
Yeah, that was kind of an overlap there. And so Deke's still his friend, so they jumped ahead. Sadie's getting surgery. And he basically also Jake is like finding out that you know, that is his his partner in crime is now being best friends with the person he's trying to go after. And then also he just found out Mimi is very sick.
Well,
and
one other thing I want to throw out there is we find out how much the surgery is, that he's
$8,000. $8,000
in 1963. $8,000 in 2016 would be equal to $62,750. And today's value would be $80,500.
Nice.
That is what $8,000 was back in 1963.
That's a lot of money. And she does say that. That's a lot of money. How are you going to get that? And he goes, I got you covered. Obviously, it's the gambling. What he's done for a few times to get a lot of money. But we also find out that Lee and his wife are broken up now. Like they jump ahead. They do jump forward, where Lee is now working at the place where supposedly he shot JFK from.
Yep.
And his wife is living with a friend. I don't know if she's hanging out with Billy anymore, but he is. And he's trying to get her to come back home. He's like, oh, look, I got a job. I'm changing for you, that kind of thing. And she doesn't believe him. So, but that's also happening.
And she's pregnant again.
But is it Billy's?
We don't know.
Yeah, he doesn't know, and no one knows. And then basically, it's so everyone's life is a little shifted here, right? Like it's a little different. But as Sadie, you know, she goes into surgery, and the man with the yellow card shows up again, which I think is time. And he knows something's up because he's seen that guy before, and he's like, wait. Every time that guy shows up, something bad happens.
And nobody else seems to even notice him.
No, only he sees him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he started in that picture right there. He starts freaking out. And Deke's like, what is wrong with you, dude? Like, what is going on? He's trying to break into the hospital surgery room. He goes down there and he saves Sadie from a really tragic accident that could have happened to her. Yeah. So a lot is going on in this episode.
Yeah, there's also the way he was going to get the money is obviously with making bets, but even though early on in the episode telling Bill we can't draw attention, we have to make small bets, he makes an $800 4-to-1 bet.
He does, but then he finds out Bill does the same thing in like other places.
Yes, he finds out right at the end.
All the gambling places are all owned by the same guy too.
The same guy. So
I want to take a step back though with the scene at the bench with
I wanted just to summarize that this is an episode you should probably really pay attention to because there's a lot going on.
It's a very touching scene. I mean, again, the spoilers, but right, she discloses that she's got cancer, and she talks about Deke wanting to take her to Mexico for treatment, but she's like, I don't want to go. And
You boys like Mexico?
but she, she's like, when I leave, promise me these things. And one of them's like, promise you'll be Deke's friend. And I forget the other one. I want to say
the way she puts it, if I remember the wording right, is Deke and I have spent our lives living next to each other, not with each other. And then she says, you love Miss Dunning, don't you?
I remember. I think I now remember that part. And you wonder if they were wanting to be in a relationship, but they couldn't.
Well, you kind of always got little hints of them being close, and I felt like little by little there was more and more that made you kind of wonder, because part of me kind of went like, I assumed Deke was just married, but then, and at least right now I don't know. I mean, he could be, but it's clear that they both care strongly for one another. And I want to say, at this time in the U.S., interracial marriage was illegal. It wasn't until I think 1967, 1968.
I don't think you could even grow beards either.
Terrible time.
But well, to me, like when I hear that, it's shocking.
It is.
Yeah.
No, it is. Yeah.
Well, and I didn't want to draw too much attention to it because I remembered this scene was coming up, but there were two specific instances where you kind of see it. And it's when Deke brings Jake back from being arrested. He goes into his office and Jake kind of sees Deke takes Mimi's hands. Like she starts coughing and he takes her hands. Mm-hmm. And then they look out the window and everything goes back to normal and they see they're being watched. And the other one is even more minor. Blink and you miss it. And Jake asks, where's Miss Mimi? And Deke says, she's out sick. I've got an errand to run. And he takes off in a hurry. And it's pretty clear that he's going to check on her.
I was going to say, it's pretty clear Deke has taken Ms. Mimi to the Pound Town Inn.
Oh, my God.
You're the one that brought us back to this touching moment.
Well, if I didn't derail an episode, it wouldn't be me.
It's okay. That's why, it wouldn't be after the weekend if we wouldn't make a joke on an opportune time. So,
yeah.
Whatever. No, it is a sad moment. And you do, and Jake doesn't realize it till now, like how she's really that sick, and maybe how much she means to Deke.
The other thing too, Jake can very much relate to their situation because Jake's ex-wife was black.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Too.
I forgot about that
in this whole situation as well. So, I feel like he can definitely relate to it. So,
yeah.
So anyway, moving on, he does realize that Billy can potentially be the second shooter. And what does he do to Billy? What does Jake do to poor Billy?
He runs up to Billy and tells him that Marina's in the hospital in labor and Lee's not there to be with her, and gets him to jump in the car so he can take him to the hospital where he's greeted by doctors and orderlies and being forcibly committed for being insane.
And that's that scene in there in the middle there where he's from the future.
Yeah.
Imagine if you couldn't make it as a linebacker, you always had a fallback job as an orderly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially back then. And he asked him, can he check himself out? Nope, not in this state. Because he's yelling out that Jake is from the future, that Jake isn't real, he's not his brother, that Jake is going to do all these crazy things. And if you heard that back in the day, you would think that person was a little nuts.
Especially, it not being the small town of Jody, but still it was a smaller population. And I'm sure lots of people out there knew that they were brothers. And so why would a brother commit his brother to an institution if it's not true?
Right.
And at the same time, though, I'm just I think about it and I'm like, we don't really see what maybe evidence he gave. Like he just told him like, he says I'm from the future and I'm not his brother, and they're like, yep, we'll take him.
Well, he was just there at the hospital too.
I know,
Cleveland.
but I just like it makes you wonder, like, what did it take to get somebody committed back then?
Not much. I don't think. You just had to
Maybe.
tell him you were just a little insane. And that I feel bad for Billy because he sees an opportunity for a friend in episode 2. That's getting him out of a bad situation where he doesn't want to be, because it reminds us of his sister.
Yeah.
And he thinks he has a friend. He has a colleague. They hang out. They do fun things together. And then he starts getting lonely. He misses things, and he falls in love. And now he's in an insane asylum. I just feel really bad for that character.
Yeah.
So I don't remember when I watched this before what happens to him, but I don't know, but it's just he's just getting a whole bad rap all the way around. And I
Yeah.
think the actor who plays Billy is doing a really great job.
Well, the casting in general across the entire show is fantastic.
Right.
Yeah.
So Jake puts Billy in. He thinks, okay, got it. He goes and tries to figure out, okay, what is going, because the date is coming up real quick here. I think he's only like a week away or so. 2 weeks
It's
away.
October 16th, so we're a little bit over a month away.
Yeah, okay. And he finds out that Harvey Oswald is working at the place now, and it's go time here in the next less than 45 days. So
Well, he starts to get a little bit more hands-on too. Like he tracks down George,
Yeah.
and it surprises him in his car. Like starts wrapping a cord around his neck and choking him and acting like he's CIA and asking all these questions. That
And George was like, I don't know what you're talking about,
because he's basically already told them all this information.
Mm-hmm.
That he was basically just trying to rile up Oswald and make him have this kind of delusions of grandeur. He never admits that yes or no that he went after General Walker
or anything about Kennedy. Yeah,
he even says, why would I do that? And Kennedy's a friend of the family. Jackie calls me Uncle George or something like that.
Well,
Yeah,
then he's trying to help me get, he wants to help me get my country back from the commies. And
yeah,
that's odd.
It was kind of almost sad. Like I felt so bad for him in that moment. Plus, a lot of what he was doing was he was really trying to protect Marina because she's from Minsk, like him, and he knows that Lee beats her.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the other thing too. You find out that he is trying to actually protect her, with almost kind of why he's friends with Lee.
Yeah. So there's a lot of emotions in this episode. There's a lot going on, and we're getting to the last 2 episodes coming up. That's 7 and 8. So that's when we find out, what happens. Like, does he save JFK, or does he not go through it?
Well, do we want to touch on exactly how this episode ends? Because it seems like he's starting to finally get everything lined up.
Yeah, you can, as long as you don't give away 7.
No, I won't. I haven't watched it. not since the show aired. But yeah, it's starting to look like everything's coming together, which is weird because he's making all these small changes, and it doesn't seem like time is pushing back nearly as much as it had been, even though he's getting closer to everything. And then the guy he made the bet with,
the guy that made the bet
tracks
with,
him down, and that's where we get the revelation that he's got, basically everybody in town he's been making bets with. It's like his franchisees. They all work for him. And he said something along the lines, your bet cost me $16,000 or whatever. And I was okay to let that go. But your brother, he made the same bet 3 other times.
And you saw his face right before when he's like, oh my God, why did he do that? Like you can see it in his face. Like, I didn't tell him to do that. And
and they beat the living snot out of Jake.
So Rick, if he made a $16,000 bet and then his brother made 3 more of the same.
Well, that was the payout, I think.
The payout was $16,000, and his brother made 3 $800 bets. So that would be 16 plus another.
So
8.
today's money.
No, it was $800 with a payout of 4. So I guess like 1,600.
So today's money to 1963, $800 is 8 grand. It's 8,000.
Yeah, so he won 16, right?
Oh,
Jake won
32.
bet. I did the
Would that-
math
would- or wait,
beforehand, but
would
I
that-
forgot.
Would that be?
Jake won 16,000. And then his brother made the same bet that Jake did, but 3 times. So that's 16 times 4. So that would be $64,000 in 1963.
I may
So
have the math off on that, but regardless, it was a lot of money for one guy.
That would have been $3,200.
Okay, yeah, I got my numbers off.
Yeah,
I was thinking more in today's money because I did look that up.
But still, that would have been $32,000.
that's a lot of money in 1963.
It is.
Don't come to us with gambling or money tips here or calculators. We're not that
But
great.
yeah, Jake finds himself right at the very end of the episode in a state where he may or may not be able to continue with his mission.
Yeah, because he gets beaten up by the crew of the better or the bookie.
What was the name of the bookie?
Well, I wonder if he works underneath Jack Ruby because we did meet him earlier, and he's the one that shot Lee Harvey Oswald in real life. So I wonder if he works under Jack Ruby, but I don't remember the guy's name. He was some.
I don't either.
Well, thoughts and theories. Where do you think this is all going, Rick? Since you have not seen the series fully yet.
I mean, it's making me think a couple of things, in all honesty. Because part of me goes, right, I mean, I still feel like, is he not able to do it? But the thing he was able to do was he was able to save Harry, right? Wasn't that the guy in his class?
Do you think he saved Sadie, knowing what Johnny can possibly do?
Do I, well, Johnny can't do nothing no more at this point.
Well, you know what I mean.
But there's part of me that goes, does he just give up on it because time fights back too much? But it's not going to fight him anymore with Sadie. And does he spend his, does he just live the rest of his life with her?
Well, Time wanted to kill Sadie. Time wanted to. Is she supposed to be alive? I guess is my question.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, that's kind of like the other thing I think of. Or
remember, it's like Final Destination.
Like I said, I kind of go like, does he give up too? I mean, like, does he go like, I just can't do this? And
it would be pretty stressful.
Runs back.
He's ruined tons of lives instead of making things better, I would say.
But I guess I don't know. There is though part of me that just still says like, saving Harry was the only thing that he's able to do.
Okay, so you're still on that. And Beard, what are your thoughts and series?
Well,
I know you've seen it before.
Going forward from here, it's very easy to get kind of tangled up in everything because you start thinking he saved Harry's family. So now those are people who are going to have interactions and spend money and go places they never would have done before, which is going to alter time. And every person they interact with is going to alter time a little bit different again. And Jake is just playing with fire by constantly altering these little things. And ultimately, that's what, 50 years, 55 years of change. So you the nerd in me starts thinking well, are you looking at changes in time being like just the Doctor Who thing, where the big moments in history kind of are the pivotal points that make the big difference? Or is it every single little thing, kind of like the multiverse sort of, if every decision you make is a different reality sort of thing?
Do you think if he just kind of like stayed in the shadows and kind of floated around, not really got involved with working at the school, not really got involved with Sadie, not got involved with Frank, that it would be a lot easier for him to do what he's trying to do?
I think so. But I think that he had a problem with that because Al warned him.
Yeah, Al said you'll get
isolation lonely, and you're going to want to get involved.
It almost is saying like Al fell in love too, but he's not telling you. Yeah.
Well, I kind of go, I almost feel like, watching this, like, you would like almost do this successfully, you would have to, one, go back and have a large sum of money at your hand to where you wouldn't have to work. But I'm just saying, right?
Yeah.
Where you wouldn't have to work.
You wouldn't have to gamble.
And then also, too, you would almost need to have other people come back with you. So, like, you would have company and not go insane and not try, I guess, to go out and interact with others. I know that sounds odd because still, even then, if you're stuck with the same person, like you would almost have to have like a group of people, but even then that would still be very challenging because
I think if you had too many cooks, they might do things that you don't.
That's true too, but I'm just saying, or I mean, yeah, the other thing is that's true too. Or I mean, like I said, at least at minimum going back with a larger sum of money.
Like we don't even know if that is Billy's kid, if that lady was supposed to be pregnant.
Well, I was saying, based off what Beard was just saying about the little things that make a difference, like imagine, like based off what you're saying, I go, okay, what if you went back in time and there was a house on fire and there was a baby inside? Do you go in and save it?
And what if that baby turns into someone really evil?
Yeah, like what? How does that change the future? I mean, what do you do?
I got the shivers when we said that. So this show is fantastic because it like makes you think like this, right? Like what all these little things. And I think this is why I like enjoying this. That's why I like watching this show in the big, like earlier in 2016 and now. Do you agree, Rick? Like this is so far a fun watch because of all this.
This has been. It's been a really fun watch, and you know,
I mean, it has its issues.
I'm glad that you mentioned it. Yeah, it's not perfect, but I mean, it's been enjoyable though. I mean, I've had a good time for majority of it. Like I said, I feel like the third episode was it slowed down a little bit.
3 and 4, yeah.
Yeah, but even then it wasn't anything bad. But yeah, I mean this was
from what I remember,
unique.
7 and 8 are pretty epic. There's a lot of things happen. And I do remember, I don't exactly, but I know there's a scene where you're like, whoa. You're like, wow. But yeah, it does keep you on your toes. So I'm happy that we're getting up to the end here, but I'm also sad because I've been enjoying watching these and reviewing with these with you. Any last thoughts, Beard, on 5 and 6?
We're getting into the weeds now, folks.
Yeah.
If you're not caught up and you've been following along, get caught up because I don't know if we can go through the next 2 episodes without spoiling things.
Yeah, I think 7 and 8 we're gonna really get into it, so it'll be fun. And Rick will probably find episode 9 and watch it.
Poor guy.
It's okay. I'll stop being mean. Anyways, all right. Well, before we let you go, we do have something to share with you, and that is our t-shirts and hoodies. You can get these at mixtees.com after the weekend weekend the logo. And if you want 20% off, we can give you a code ATW20 and you can get a cool hoodie or a t-shirt there. Beard, are you planning on getting one yet?
I may have been looking at the store the other day.
Okay, make sure you use the code ATW20. You'll get a discount. And if you do buy any shirts from there, you not only support us, but you also support the Popcast brothers who run that website and that whole merch store. So it not only helps us, helps them.
Just got to say, those guys modeling for the sizing chart, fantastic. If you haven't looked at it, look at it, because one of those guys is modeling a small that does not belong in a small.
Does he look like melted ice cream?
Oh, are you talking about the they tell you what size not to buy if you're this size?
Well, it's like the sizing chart that gives you measurements for everything, but they also have a photo demonstration, and it's both of them. One guy belongs in a bigger shirt, and one guy is a skinny dude.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it. I laughed so hard.
Well, it's a fun. They do fun things over there. They also do a lot of other cool designs. So it's
Yeah.
it's awesome that we're even out there with them. Rick, did you want to add anything to before we head out?
I was supposed to give some quote of inspiration, wasn't I?
You were.
I was.
Do you have one?
Yeah. A true friend stabs you in the front. Oscar
Okay.
Wilde.
I hope you're not referring to me.
Do you feel guilty about something?
No. I'm thinking you're saying that because I keep making fun of you about the.
No.
All right. Well, everyone, thanks again for stopping by and watching this episode of. This is part 3. This is part 3, right? Part 3.
Yep, part 3.
5 and 6. So I'm excited for 7 and 8. Can't wait. So it should be fun.
That rhymed.
It did. All right. Later, folks. Bye.
Bye.